Hello beauties, welcome back to the vlog. This week we are going to be talking about scarcity and how that can affect our businesses, whether you're a for-profit, non-profit, or you're part of an organization. Scarcity can really affect our thinking and how we make decisions. It also can affect how we feel about ourselves, our company, and our environment. I'm going to talk about how people have managed scarcity. I'm going to talk a little bit about a gender gap that happens with scarcity, asking for what we need, share some examples about how this has affected our business from being a startup to a scaling company, because it absolutely does. And today I wanted to share with you an article, and I'll post it in the comments as well, but an article that I heard on NPR a while back. It's been maybe a few months ago. And there's a study that's come out really trying to study how scarcity impacts how we think and if we're able to be strategic while we are experiencing scarcity or not. And they wanted to test to see if a startup CEO or a new CEO, new leadership in a company, could be strategic if they came into a company that was underwater. Can you make the right decisions for yourselves if things are in the red or barely in the black? How do you do that? But it's a very difficult thing to test and see and to do in a way that's going to have a longitudinal study. So what they decided to do instead was to look at a particular type of farmer who received payment for their goods once a year. And the study was very interesting. The farmers received their whole year's salary on one day, and then they had to live on that salary for the whole year. And at the beginning of that year, when they received the money for selling their goods, they were very strategic. They were thinking in broad strokes about things. What are we going to do? What equipment might we need to get in a couple years? How do we want to do these things with the fields? What crops do we want to rotate? Very strategic thinking. Who do we want to have in here? And, really planning things out. And as the year goes on, that becomes more and more difficult to think about because now they're having to face immediate need. Wow, we've got to make sure we pay the electric bill. We have the loan on the equipment we owe to the bank. We need to get our equipment repaired. We had an unexpected repair that we didn't plan on. And now, as they get down to the end of that year, they're living day to day. Okay, how are we going to ration out this type of food? When we know we get that payment in, it's going to be preset for these three things that we're behind on that have to be paid. And they couldn't think about how they were going to plant new crops or who they were going to hire or how they could change any of that at all. And over time, that became a pattern for them. So they were strategic in the beginning of the year when they received the pay for their crops. And as the year went on, they let the strategy fall by the wayside because they were living day to day. And I think this really affects us in our businesses and in our lives too. You first get your paycheck and you're like, okay, let me just get the things paid that I need to do. And then it's easy to think about all the things that we want to do. It's easy to dream. For a minute we have the money in our pocket and we dream. And what a strange thing that money can have such a hold on us, right? That it has so much power over our lives and how we make decisions and what we need to do. And all of our expenses we have to do and all the stuff we need to buy and pay for and all of that. And so how are we able to think beyond that? It keeps us where we are. How do you move through that? So that's what we're talking about this week, is how you think about scarcity. And also, when you get to the point where you're comfortable and things are stable in your life, how do you let go of those feelings that you had when you lived in a time where things were scarce? How do you change that and try new things and be willing to take risk? So we'll talk more about this week. I'd love to hear your comments and questions about how you've dealt with this or if you've seen this in your businesses and nonprofits. I'll see you tomorrow.